Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Echo Knight. In the last bit we started off the game and now we're going to disobey the captain and immediately leave. I regret my decision immediately.
It's the light. They're not fond of light. I must fight the power that lurks within this ship. It is my destiny. I will come for you once this ordeal is over with. Stay here until then. You mustn't go down there. Is that understood, Richard?
Who are you and how do you know my name? Because the main character's name in this game is Richard Osmond. In fact, that's the name of the main character's name in all three Echo Knights, despite them being all completely different Richard Osmonds. So that there was our first enemy encounter. Enemy encounters are done through a few different violent ghost types, but they can be pretty easily avoided, as that voice told us. They can only show up in dark rooms. Because this, your first instinct, whenever you enter a new room, as I said back in part 1, look for a light switch, which is either directly on top of a light source or on a wall near a red light indicating that's where it is in darker areas like this. If you turn on the lights, the ghosts can do nothing to you. They can't spawn, they can't turn the lights off themselves, at least not in this one. I think they might be able to in Echo Knight 2 from memory. So if you're just quick on the draw with that, honestly, this game won't give you too much trouble in terms of actual physical damage. Mind you, there are some rooms where the lights will refuse to turn on due to various electrical problems you can fix yourself through a few different methods. But as long as you're in a dark room and you're not in there like lollygagging, taking forever, it'll seldom cause you trouble, in my experience. Also open this cabinet for 2 extra curing potions. Curing potions are to heal damage done by the violent ghost types. But again, in my experience, there's only usually per playthrough, maybe 2 or 3 points in every playthrough for me where I need to use it. Either way, right here we found ourselves a hinged door here in the... I'm forgetting the name for this room in a ship. Not cockpit, that's for planes. Bridge? That sounds right. That sounds like something I would say in Star Trek. And there is a hinged door on the ground that we don't have a handle to. Oh, would you look at that? A conveniently placed handle. This is what a lot of Echo Knight's puzzles, as I mentioned last part back in our father's house, boil down to. Find a room that's missing something, find the missing something either in a room or in an adjacent room, and then figure out the puzzle from there. Also, what I just did is use the quick menu. If you press the square button, you can just access your inventory straight up and use items from it without having to go into the item menu. And here we have one of the more important items in the game, the ship's map. Unlike, say, a Resident Evil map, though, this doesn't show you outright the full map. It only shows you the rooms you've entered, closer to a Zelda map, almost. But it does fill up as you progress through the game, although I don't think I've ever seen the map completion hit 100%, at least on my playthroughs. I usually either miss a single room or something else, and, hi there, Ghost. How are you?
I should never have gotten aboard this ship. I promised her that I would return one day. I should have just stayed by her side. I wonder how she's doing now.
Well, that's a transition and a half. Hello there, lady.
It's probably too late. He's departing in the morning. It's our last night together, and I lost my engagement ring. Where could I have dropped it?
This is by and large what most of Echo Knight boils down to, as I said back during the little train sequence last part. A lot of smaller, more linear sections that play into the larger narrative at whole.
We set sail in the morning. I won't be able to see her for a while. She's late. I wonder what she's doing. Christina, where are you? I wonder what she's doing. She shouldn't be out in the cold in this late hour.
For instance, as you might be able to guess just based off what Christina said, we need to look for their engagement ring and give it to her.
I can't see clearly anymore.
And the fact she can't see clearly is a hint towards what we need to do in the larger scale of things. And if we go over here, we can find a relatively out-of-nowhere carousel that we can even ride. And the important thing about riding it is that it lights up the area and makes that thing over there shine like nothing else. That is the item in question. We need to find the engagement ring. I believe you can find it without actively riding the carousel. It's just there to give you a way to find it naturally without just, like, keeping your face glued to the floor like your Edge from Final Fantasy IV. Well, at least not in non-PSP versions. Keeping your eye out for minor details like that is going to be a real helper in the long term, so get used to doing that. Pick it up, and now let's go give that back to Christina. Admittedly, places like this in the game are where the fastest movement option can come in handy. In fact, I do tend to use that when I'm just playing the game on my own. But for the sake of the LP, I only went with the second fastest just so we can have time to talk about things, really.
I can't see clearly anymore.
Well, good news, I found your engagement ring at least.
Oh, this is it. Now I can go see him.
It's time. I'll come back home. I promise.
Christina.
Oh, please tell me that means she made it to him in time. He was only like 15 feet away. Oh, no.
I was too late. I'm sorry, but may I ask you for a favor? If, by chance, you see that person again, please give him this. I know I shouldn't ask a stranger for such a thing, but please.
Well, that's just straight up depressing. And yet that kind of melancholic tone, I'm going to say outright, it kind of pervades the entire game, so get used to it. Hey, man, I think this belongs to you.
Oh my God, how could I have forgotten about her? Forgive me, Christina. Thank you for telling me. I will go to her now.
Good luck with that, buddy. But because of that, we've actively allowed that ghost to pass on, and that causes this strange floating sphere to show up. This is an astral piece. These are sort of your plot MacGuffins through the game. You actively don't really need to pick them up if you want to just beat the game. But passing the ghosts on to the next realm is our main goal, because either that allows us to get the items we need to progress, or opens gateways that they're just actively blocking because the ghosts are being kind of dicks in the afterlife. Exaggeration, of course. Also, this red phone here is your save points. Whenever you see one of these and it's been a while, I recommend you save, because I wouldn't say death is easy in this game, but wandering around is definitely easy, and that means you might lose a lot of time in the case you do die. The light won't turn on. I wonder if there's a bad fuse somewhere. Well, that's not good, because that means we can get hit.
Oh, it's so dark. I locked the door, but she'll still come. Why?
Hey, get out of the way. I'm busy. Leave me alone. by and large, your purpose in these little flashbacks into the person's actual life are to give you either hints or the items you actively need to help the ghosts pass on as well. Additionally, I do like that they have just little moments for each of these characters. At the end of the day, though, our goal in this particular little flashback is to grab these rubber gloves right here. Hey, what are you... What the... What the hell? Get away from me. Don't come near me. I'm not actively certain if watching that scene makes the ghost girl spawn in that room really quickly, so I always immediately leave. That's why I actually recommend saving before talking to that particular ghost to see into his little past. Oh, also, super minor detail about the game that only really comes into play in like 2 places, if even. You saw it there for a second, but the moon was in the background. This game has an in-game clock system where certain rooms are only open during certain periods, and there's an outright day to night system outside. Which is cool, but not really needed. Whenever you hear that music that's playing right now, that's when you know a ghost is in the room trying to kill you. Get the hell out of that room as soon as you can. Thankfully, the ghost girl spawns in the distant corner from you, especially when compared to where you need to go. So as long as you're quick on movement in there, she shouldn't actively get to touch you in my experience. I say that though, but the ghost enemies can be kind of dickish in that they can quickly teleport into or away from you, depending on what they feel like, so it is partially random, and even then their movements are very random. For instance, there's one time later on where I actively get jump scared by an enemy ghost who didn't show up in a room during my test playthrough, but did during the actual recording. Either way, we got those wire cutters so we can snip that little piece of wire and whoa.
I have been waiting for you. Come here.
You know, I've heard of books speaking to someone on a spiritual level, but this is just ridiculous. You know, those atmospheric exterior shots of a lot of the flashback areas, or well, flashback quote-unquote, at least in this case, aren't very needed, but I appreciate them because there's some legitimately good work put into them. Honestly, for PlayStation, Echo Knight 1 and 2 are some of the best-looking games on the system, and admittedly, they kind of get to cheat because, like, there's no super intense action, there's not a lot to render at one time on the screen. It's like if Resident Evil was first person before it went first person, in a way, honestly, without all the monsters. So because of that, they get to use the PlayStation's processing power damn near to its peak, especially given this was very late PlayStation memory serves, like 98, 99 from memory. I guess technically late PlayStation was, what, 2001 or 2, but you know what I mean. Late for non-shovelware or when it was still the major console. Now, we can't go to the second floor, so we just have to go up to the top floor. And coming up here, I actively do something that I'm technically doing a little bit out of sequence, in that, like with the red book I got last part, I forgot to read the comic book we just got in the inventory, which is how you get a hint to what we have to do here, particularly in regards to that little plaque in the distance. This must be the machine used to move the telescope. It doesn't seem to work anymore. Odd. The bottom line is, the comic book hints ultimately, with this a picture of the sun is carved into a relief, I wonder if it has a meaning, to use the comic book we just got on this plaque.
Please, come in.
Hi.
So how goes your journey aboard the ship? It seems pretty fun. You don't have to be scared. I just possess an alien power. I am blind. I created that book you possess as a substitute. I am able to see the world through the book as it travels around the world. Yes, the entire world. What's this? You have something interesting. I speak of the sphere you possess. Will you give it to me? Well, in layman's terms, let's just say that it is another type of energy. I have a certain goal I am trying to achieve. I need that sphere. Of course, I shall reward you with something that will be of use to you. How about it? Is there a way I can persuade you?
The sphere in question he's talking about is the astral spheres. So at the end of the day, just press the square button or go into the inventory proper and use them on him to give it to him.
Thanks. Here, take this with you. This is a special potion that I've made. It may be weak, but it has the power to cure you when you are possessed. I believe this will be very useful for you. With that book, you are able to come here whenever you like. Come again. I'll be waiting.
Alrighty. Your room scares me, so I'm going to leave now.
Oh, I almost forgot. Let me give this to you. This stone holds your destiny. Take good care of it.
A blue diamond? I mean, thanks, but there's only half of one in here, so where's the other half, man? Alright, so the holy water that we just got from that guy who doesn't actively have a name in any of the games, so I'm just going to call him the Mysterious Man, is a double-use item. It acts as a weaker curing potion to begin with, but in the case you get attacked by enemies enough, the enemy ghost, you become possessed, so to speak, and that will actively cure you of that status ailment. With that said, it requires you to not only face the ghosts a lot, it requires running into them to begin with, which, again, if you either know your way around the game or are quick to hit the light switches, should barely happen to begin with. The other thing we got there was the wire we cut with the wire cutter, which we can use here in this fuse box to light the room that doesn't have a working light switch. With that said, you need to be careful because there's no fuse and there's no electricity going through, but the moment you put one in, there will be, and you will take damage and or die. Which is why you want to enter the menu and press triangle on the rubber gloves to equip them. There is a minor equipment system in this game. Doesn't do anything for stats, though. It's just for progression. And that allows us to use the wire on this and allow light into the chart room compartments. This is both the room with the ghost girl right behind us, as well as the room with the ghost we were talking to a few moments ago. Also, I won't lie, I was tempted to cut out a lot of the load times in the game, but they're not that long to begin with, and honestly, like with Resident Evil, I think they add to the atmosphere in the game. Just very subtly, in a way. Either way, dude, good news. The light's on. Spooky, not so spooky. How you feeling?
It's light. Finally, she won't come here anymore.
Good for you, buddy. I should note, the astral spheres, or astral pieces, actively play a role in the endings of the game. The game has 4 endings, and you can only get 2 of them if you get all 26 astral pieces throughout the game, which I am doing through this LP.
Everyone died on the day of that great storm. The entities you see aboard this ship are mere shadows. I've been waiting a long time for someone to come and help us. Please, help us. Help this ship.
Sure thing. And with that, we can now actively leave the little bridge area thanks to the key we got in that previous room. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 3, we'll be entering the, I forget the name of this next section of the ship, but oh well! See you guys then.